Am I live? Yes, I'm live. So I'm live with, unbelievably, week 9 of the Wednesday quiz night. And while you're all joining in and leaving your messages, I'll go and give the links on social media, as I usually do. There are 2 people already online, and then I will be back to you. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm going on Facebook, and I will look for the link for this, which is never particularly obvious. Oh, we're there. Yes, it's just telling me that we're live, and we will go on here, find the live videos, live streams, and here we are. Where are we? Down week 8, really. Oh, it's not showing the live stream. Now, where are we now? It tells me we're live. What's going on here? Ah, there we are. Good, live now. So let me go to that.
Now. So let me go to that. Now. So let me go to that. Now.
And it'll keep repeating itself until I stop. That's okay. Now I've got the link. Or have I? So I definitely got the link now. And am I still online? Yes, that's okay. Whew. And here we are. So, Chesterfield Parish Church Facebook. Come on, Facebook, why do you always go slow? Here's the link to quiz night. Oh dear, what are you doing now? And put the link on there, and it's there, and is it fetching the preview? Yes, we've got the right preview. Ah, that's helpful. So that's now posted on Facebook on the church. God, Facebook is slow tonight. And I'll now share that on my Facebook. And that's shared. That's been shared to my timeline. So I'll now disappear off there and go on to Twitter and do the same thing. Every week I do this. There must be a simpler way of doing it. Here's the link to quiz night. Paste and tweet. I'll go on to my Facebook and put that on there and retweet it. And that's now done. So I'm sorted on that, and I come back here, and we have at the moment, we have Adam and Daniel. Good evening. We've got Colin and Suzanne, good evening. We've got Linda and Malcolm and others, and the dog. We've got Audrey. So that's why we're on YouTube. We've got Pauline. Hello from Pauline and John. Excellent. I see there's we've got a Pinder, another Pinder Packard is following us on YouTube. So perhaps we'll have some more Pinder Packards. We got E-Hop from Scarborough. Good to see you. Just a reminder to anybody who's tuning in, we've got 17 have tuned in at the moment. To anybody who's tuning in, that you can send comments in using the live chat. You can also, if you don't like to use the live chat, send comments via email on contact@crookedspire.org. That's contact@crookedspire.org. Don't try to contact via Facebook or Twitter or any other means, because I won't see it. So either by email, contact@crookedspire.org. We've got Ian here. Welcome, Ian. Good to see you. Or you can do it via live chat, and I will see those and respond to them. And that's really, we've got Jess and Ben in Lincoln. Good to see you. A wave on there. We've got Ted and Judy Stevens. We've got all the high scorers are here already. The Duncans are here. That's good. We'll. You ready for 90 or more % tonight, John? The Bulls are here. Most of the Bulls are here. Okay. I won't ask what that means. I might get a rude answer. No, we've got 23 online and we've still got a few minutes to go. We've got Kathy Walton, good evening. Good to see you. We're beginning to get there and we've got plenty of time. I've found, I enjoyed putting tonight's quiz together. Some very interesting topics, and I'm not sure, I think I'll probably do another one for next week, but it will be all the Vicar's favourite topics, and that will be week 10, and then I think I deserve a break. So we'll see how that works. You may be fed up of it after this evening, after you've had all these. We'll see. We're more or less ready to go, but we'll give people some time to tune in. We've got 23. We've got a restless dog. He will come and go all evening. He's been restless the last few days. We've got Gwen and Tony, good to see you. Are we getting any other Halloms tonight? Have we got the Hallam family rivalries are being reignited tonight? We've got the Peppits, good to see you, Andrew. Well, this looks as if we'll have a classic evening in. If I disappear at any point, it's only because I've been sat in front of this computer screen ever since I got back from church this morning, and I've more or less had enough of it. So I'm going to pretend that I'm looking at you rather than the mirror image of me, and hope that I don't feel like smashing the computer screen, because I can't afford a new one. So I don't want to particularly to smash it, and it is a nice screen. It's just, I'm not designed to sit in front of these things for hours on end. We're now hitting 7:30. We've got 25 online. I'm wondering whether we're getting any more. Anybody else like to say good evening, either by email or by live chat? Anybody new? Just a reminder that you can use the live chat column if you wish, or if you prefer not to do that on YouTube, then you can send email by contact@crookedspire.org. We've got Pauline and David from York. Good to see you. York now without a bishop, waiting for the official confirmation and installation of the new Archbishop there. And we are now past 7:30. I'll give it just a little longer and then we'll get cracking. Good evening, Helen. Good to see you. Let's see who is going to get the big scores tonight. Okay, I think we'll make a start. Got Jan Alcott from Bartlow, pleased to see you. Excellent. All right, the first round tonight is towns and cities. Towns and cities. And question 1, what was the population of the borough of Chesterfield at the 2011 census? What was the population of the borough of Chesterfield at the 2011 census? And I will accept within 10,000, so you've got a good chance of guessing this if you don't already know. What was the population of the borough of Chesterfield at the 2011 census? Question 2. What were the last 3 towns to become cities in 2012? What were the last 3 towns to become cities in 2012? That was at the Diamond Jubilee. So in the meantime, the Peterborough Halams have joined in, and also the Barons. Good to see you all. And we've got 27 online. Question 2. What were the last 3 towns to become cities in 2012? Can you see the dog's nose behind me? What are you doing, Louis? Why don't you lie down? Okay, question 3. What is the capital city of Tasmania? What is the capital city of Tasmania? I've sometimes wondered about visiting Tasmania. It's a hell of a long way to go, but it seems very beautiful and not overpopulated. Trouble is, all the Anglican churches there seem to be evangelical, so I don't suppose there'd be any jobs that would like people like me. What is the capital city of Tasmania? Question 4, bearing in mind this is a round on towns and cities. Which Great Western engine is considered the first to have exceeded 100 miles per hour? Which Great Western engine is considered the first to have exceeded 100 miles per hour? So bear in mind it's around on towns and cities. Which Great Western engine is considered the first to have exceeded 100 miles per hour? Question 5. In Northern Ireland, is Derry, otherwise called Londonderry, a city or a town? Is Derry, Londonderry, a city or a town? I really liked Derry when I visited it in, when was it, 1990? Long time ago, when the Troubles still hadn't finished. I found it a lovely welcoming place and also very interesting architecture. Is Derry, Londonderry a city or a town? Question 6. Which city football team has been banned from the Champions League for 2 seasons starting next season? Which city football team has been banned from the Champions League for 2 seasons starting next season? Of course, for joy for some, and of course for great sorrow for others, but a ban is not a very happy thing. Which city football team has been banned from the Champions League for 2 seasons starting next season? Question 7, and the answer to this may surprise you. What is the largest city in China? What is the largest city in China? Something which you may not have known is that apparently there are over 50 cities in China with more than 1 million population. That's scary. What is the largest city in China? Question 8. Which city is considered to be the capital of French-speaking Canada? Which city is considered to be the capital of French-speaking Canada? French is spoken all over Canada, but there are some areas where it is the predominant language, and this city is considered to be the capital of that part of Canada. Question 9. Which came first, the City of London or the City of Westminster? Which came first, the City of London or the City of Westminster? Both very ancient. I want to know which one came first. Which came first, the City of London or the City of Westminster? And question 10, in which year did Derby become a city? In which year did Derby become a city? I won't comment on that, all my views on Derby. In which year did Derby become a city? So I'll go back over that round. Any latecomers will have a chance to listen to these questions again. And if you want me to repeat anything, just use the live chat or the email to let me know. What was the population of the borough of Chesterfield at the 2011 census? What were the last 3 towns to become cities in 2012? What is the capital city of Tasmania? Which Great Western engine is considered the first to have exceeded 100 miles per hour? Is Derry, Londonderry, a city or a town? Which city football team has been banned from the Champions League for 2 seasons starting next season? What is the largest city in China? Which city is considered the capital of French-speaking Canada? Which came first, the City of London or the City of Westminster? And finally, in which year did Derby become a city? So we'll move on then from round 1 to round 2, which is curses and blessings. Question 1. What sort of times figure in the most famous Chinese curse? What sort of times figure in the most famous Chinese curse? That one should be easy. I'm always reminded of that when I use the phrase. What sort of times figure in the most famous Chinese curse? Question 2. Whose blessing from the Book of Numbers begins, "The Lord bless you and keep you"? Whose blessing from the Book of Numbers begins, "The Lord bless you and keep you"? One of the most beautiful blessings ever written, and also very, very ancient. And it's traced back to one individual in the Book of Numbers. Whose blessing from the Book of Numbers begins, "The Lord bless you and keep you"? Question 3. Who cursed and spat at King David according to 2 Samuel 16? Who cursed and spat at David according to 2 Samuel 16? I find this account is quite interesting because it talks about this individual cursing David and spitting and flinging stones, and David refusing to have him put to the sword, and then David walks up, and this individual follows, cursing and flinging dust at David. Who cursed and spat at David according to 2 Samuel 16? Question 4. What are the signs of the so-called Toronto blessing? What are the signs of the so-called Toronto blessing? It's part of that mysterious aspect of the church, which these days is called charismatic. What are the signs of the so-called Toronto blessing? Question 5. What follows the blessing in the 1662 communion service? What follows the blessing in the 1662 communion service? If you were watching it online this morning, you will have been given a reminder. What follows the blessing in the 1662 communion service? Question 6. When Italians give the horn sign with the outer fingers, which curse are they warding off? When Italians give the horn sign with the outer fingers, which curse are they warding off? And this is the sign I mean. That's the horn sign. It's also the cornuto sign. Again, that's linked with horn, and a cornuto is a cuckold. So if somebody does this to you, they're either warding off a curse or they're telling you that you're a cuckold, one or the other. When Italians give the horn sign with the outer fingers, which curse are they warding off? Question 7. In Shrek, what was Princess Fiona cursed to become at night? In Shrek, what was Princess Fiona cursed to become at night? I have to confess to never having watched Shrek. Perhaps that's remiss of me. I should watch things like that so that I know what my parishioners are watching. But I've never actually got around to watching Shrek. In Shrek, what was Princess Fiona cursed to become at night? Question 8. Traditionally, throats are blessed on the day after Candlemas. Which saint is this day dedicated to? Traditionally, throats are blessed on the day after Candlemas. That's the 3rd of February. Which saint is this day dedicated to? And this particular blessing involves using 2 candles from Candlemas and holding them in a cross across somebody's throat. So if I try using these 2 pens, you hold the candles something like that and then utter the blessing. Traditionally, throats are blessed on the day after Candlemas. Which saint is this day dedicated to? Question 9. Which faith has a canon, that's a collection of blessings, beginning with the words, "Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe"? Hello, Rowena. Which faith has a canon or collection of blessings, each one beginning with the words, "Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe"? Oh dear, I'm yawning. That comes from being in front of the computer screen all day as well. Which faith has a canon of blessings beginning with the words, "Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe"? And question 10, where is the post-punk group Curses based? Where is the post-punk group Curses based? It's also quite a techno group. It's a group called Curses. It's a sort of techno post-punk group. It still exists, and I want to know, where is it based? So I'll go back over those. What sort of times figure in the most famous Chinese curse? Whose blessing from the Book of Numbers begins, "The Lord bless you and keep you"? Who cursed and spat at David according to 2 Samuel 16? What are the signs of the so-called Toronto blessing? What follows the blessing in the 1662 communion service? When Italians give the horn sign with the outer fingers, which curse are they warding off? In Shrek, what was Princess Fiona cursed to be at night? Traditionally, throats are blessed on the day after Candlemas. Which saint is this day dedicated to? Which faith has a canon of blessings beginning with the words, "Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe"? And where is the post-punk group Curses based? So we'll move from curses and blessings on to fruit. You should be shot if you don't get the answer to the first question. What sort of fruit is a Cox's orange pippin? What sort of fruit is a Cox's orange pippin? My father used to sell them, and he told me once, and this is very true, if you want to check that a Cox's orange pippin is ready to eat, you need to hold it next to your ear and shake it, and if the pips rattle, it's ripe and ready. What sort of fruit is a Cox's orange pippin? Question 2. Apples make cider. What is the traditional name for the alcoholic drink made from pears? Apples make cider. What is the traditional name for the alcoholic drink made from pears? And I want the traditional name. Some of the things which are marketed these days are called pear cider, which is rubbish. I want to know the traditional name for the alcoholic drink made from pears. Question 3. Which popular fruit associated with Wimbledon has its pips on the outside? Which popular fruit associated with Wimbledon has its pips on the outside? We're being spared Wimbledon this year. Thank God for that. Something good come out of the coronavirus. Which popular fruit associated with Wimbledon has its pips on the outside? Question 4. What type of fruit has a variety called sequoia? What type of fruit has a variety called sequoia? And I have some of these in my fridge. What type of fruit has a variety called sequoia? Question 5. Which hairy fruit is related to the nectarine? Which hairy fruit is related to the nectarine? Nectarine is sometimes called a shaved one of these. Which hairy fruit is related to the nectarine? Question 6. Where was the basic strain for most presently cultivated bananas developed? Where was the basic strain for most presently cultivated bananas developed? If you don't know this and you wait for the answer, you might be surprised to know. Where was the basic strain of most presently cultivated bananas developed? Question 7. Motherhood and a pie made from what fruit? Motherhood and a pie made from what fruit? Always when you bring up something that people can't possibly criticize or condemn, motherhood and a pie made from what fruit? Question 8. Winberries and whortleberries are generally known in this part of the world as what? Winberries, which is South Wales, and whortleberries, which is southwest of England, west of England, probably quite a bit of the south of England, are generally known in this part of the world as what? And there will be plenty of them in the peak. Winberries and whortleberries are generally known in this part of the world as what? Question 9. What, be careful with this, what is the basic flavouring for amaretto? What is the basic flavouring for amaretto? And I'll help you with this. This is a round on fruit, not on nuts. What is the basic flavouring for amaretto? Question 10. What fruit is the base for ribena? What fruit is the base for ribena? My brother had a summer job picking these near Abergavenny. He swore he would never ever drink ribena again after he saw what happened to them. What fruit is the base for ribena? I'll go back over that. What sort of fruit is a Cox's orange pippin? Apples make cider. What is the traditional name for the alcoholic drink made from pears? Which popular fruit associated with Wimbledon has its pips on the outside? What type of fruit has a variety called sequoia? Which hairy fruit is related to the nectarine? Where was the basic strain for most presently cultivated bananas developed? Motherhood and a pie made from what fruit? Winberries and whortleberries are generally known in this part of the world as what? What is the basic flavouring for amaretto? And what fruit is the base for ribena? Okay, we'll move on to round 4. Quite topical, devolved government. Are you ready? Which devolved nation runs a daily train from the north to the south in the morning and back again in the evening to enable people to attend meetings of its devolved government? Which devolved nation runs a daily train from the north to the south in the morning and back again in the evening to enable people to attend meetings of its devolved government? And believe it or not, in the national network of that nation, this is the only train which has a first class section. Which devolved nation runs a daily train from the north to the south in the morning and back again in the evening to enable people to attend meetings of its devolved government? Question 2. In what year was the referendum that led to the creation of the Scottish Parliament and the Welsh Assembly? In what year was the referendum that led to the creation of the Scottish Parliament and the Welsh Assembly? I'm not sure, but I don't think in England people were able to vote on that. I may be wrong. In what year was the referendum that led to the creation of the Scottish Parliament and the Welsh Assembly? Question 3. Which devolved nation currently has tax amending powers? Which devolved nation currently has tax amending powers? That means that within certain limits they can alter things like income tax. Which devolved nation currently has tax amending powers? Question 4. Which devolved nation does not have its own body of laws? Which devolved nation does not have its own body of laws? If you're an economist, you'll be surprised that you can have a devolved nation without its own body of laws, and yet you can have another devolved nation which can alter taxes but doesn't actually have its own currency. Funny world we live in. Which devolved nation does not have its own body of laws? Question 5. Which devolved government was suspended from January 2017 to January 2020? Which devolved government was suspended from January 2017 to January 2020? Not for the first time. Which devolved government was suspended from January 2017 to January 2020? Question 6, and the answer to this may surprise you. Who suggested in 1912 that the government of England should be carried out by regional parliaments? Who suggested in 1912 that the government of England should be carried out by regional parliaments? Something which I'm actually tempted to agree with, but we won't go there. Who suggested in 1912 that the government of England should be carried out by regional parliaments? Question 7. Which local authority in England has greater devolved powers than any other? Which local authority in England has greater devolved powers than any other? And has had them for a long time. Which local authority in England has greater devolved powers than any other? And coming more locally, question 8, who is the leader of the Yorkshire Party? Who is the leader of the Yorkshire Party? I never knew there was a Yorkshire Party until I started researching this quiz. Who is its leader? Question 9. Which devolved administration has separate powers over vehicle licensing? Which devolved administration has separate powers over vehicle licensing? Which devolved administration has separate powers over vehicle licensing? And question 10, What is the formula by which UK government funding is allocated to devolved administrations? What is the formula? I want the name of the formula, not the actual formula. What is the name of the formula by which UK government funding is allocated to devolved administrations? And when the results of this formula are announced each year, it is always controversial. What is the formula by which UK government funding is allocated to devolved administrations? So I'll go back over those. Which devolved nation runs a daily train from the north to the south in the morning and back again in the evening to enable people to attend meetings of its devolved government? In what year was the referendum that led to the creation of the Scottish Parliament and the Welsh Assembly? Which devolved nation currently has tax amending powers? Which devolved nation does not have its own body of law? Which devolved government was suspended from January 2017 to January 2020? Who suggested in 2012, I'll start again. Who suggested in 1912 that the government of England should be carried out by regional parliaments? Which local authority in England has greater devolved powers than any other? Who is the leader of the Yorkshire Party? Which devolved administration has separate powers over vehicle licensing? And what is the formula by which UK government funding is allocated to devolved administrations? So we go from the ridiculous to the ridiculous. Father Ted. Question 1. What is Father Ted's surname? What is Father Ted's surname? What is Father Ted's surname? Question 2. Which fictional island is Father Ted based on? Which fictional island is Father Ted based on? What's the name of the island where Father Ted is based? Question 3. What is Mrs. Doyle's favourite activity? What is Mrs. Doyle's favourite activity? You will, you will, you will, you will. What is Mrs. Doyle's favourite activity? Question 4, and this gave rise to my favourite episode of Father Ted. What was Ted's forfeit for cheating in the All Priests Five-a-Side Over 75s Indoor Challenge football match? What was Ted's forfeit for cheating in the All Priests Five-a-Side Over 75s Indoor Challenge football match? Oh yes, this is my favourite episode. What was Ted's forfeit for cheating in the All Priests Five-a-Side Over 75s Indoor Challenge football match? Question 5. What was the Passion of Saint Tibullus? What was the Passion of Saint Tibullus? Well, Adam and Daniel, if you get 10 out of 10 on this round, you are a fellow spirit. Sorry, a pair of fellow spirits. What was the Passion of Saint Tibullus? Question 6. What disease caused Father Jack to be sent to St. Clabert's Hospital for elderly priests? What disease caused Father Jack to be sent to St. Clabert's Hospital for elderly priests? Still sure you're going to get 10 out of 10? What disease caused Father Jack to be sent to St. Clabert's Hospital for elderly priests? Question 7. What is Father Dougal's favourite activity? What is Father Dougal's favourite activity? apart from being stupid. What is Father Dougal's favourite activity? Question 8. What is Father Jack's favourite activity? Current activity, not past. What is Father Jack's favourite activity? Question 9. Where in the department store did the priests get lost in the episode A Christmassy Ted? Where in the department store did the priests get lost in the episode A Christmassy Ted? Classic scene, classic comedy. And as Father Ted, the Father Ted questions have gone on, we've added 2 or 3 more people who are watching. We've now got 34 online. So if I haven't already welcomed you, welcome to you. And if you want to get involved with the live chat, it's there for your use on YouTube. Or if you want to send an email, you can send it to contact@crookedspire.org and join in the conversation. Question 10. Which English comic actor makes a guest appearance in the episode The Mainland? Which English comic actor makes a guest appearance in the episode The Mainland? I'll go back over those. What is Father Ted's surname? Which fictional island is Father Ted based on? What is Mrs. Doyle's favourite activity? What was Ted's forfeit for cheating in the All Priests Five-a-Side over 75s indoor challenge football match? What was the Passion of St. Tibulus? What disease caused Father Jack to be sent to St. Clabot's Hospital for Elderly Priests? What is Father Dougal's favourite activity? What is Father Jack's favourite activity? Where in the department store did the priests get lost in A Christmassy Ted? And which English comic actor makes a guest appearance in The Mainland? So that's the end of the first half. Linda says they only watched 2 episodes. Well, I'm afraid I did give advance notice, so you did have the chance to revise. If there are any questions you want me to repeat, then please do so. If there are any comments you want to make, please feel free. I'm now going to find some refreshment, let the dogs out, and I recommend you do the same. And then I will ask people to come back at 8:10. To come back at 8:10. Well, we are. Well, we've got Jack here. Good to see you. You've got flapjacks, craving flapjacks. Good news for dentists. You've got some Skittles today. All right. That's chewy stuff, isn't it, Skittles? No, wait a minute. Skittles are like Smarties, aren't they? Yes, I'm afraid I've got tea again. I've been sat in front of this screen for too long. If I have anything stronger than tea to drink, I shall fall asleep before the end of the quiz. Oh, we've got to 8:10. And I think we'll move on. Are we all ready? We'll move on with pens and pencils. So, question 1. What is a standard grade pencil? What is a standard grade pencil? And that's the grading which is printed on the side of a standard grade pencil. What is a standard grade pencil? Question 2. Which company produced the 61 Flighter Deluxe? Which company produced the 61 Flighter Deluxe? I have one here. I had one given to me for passing exams, and it is a wonderful thing. I used it for many, many years, including for things like taking lecture notes and writing letters home from abroad and that sort of thing. And it got stolen by some scrote when I was teaching. It was the only thing I ever had stolen in 7 years of teaching. So I acquired another one from eBay, and it's still something I love very much. Which company produced the 61 Flighter Deluxe? Question 3. Who patented the 3-channel ink feed fountain pen in 1884? Who patented the 3-channel ink feed fountain pen in 1884? In other words, the first truly independent fountain pen, which worked from its own ink reservoir. Who patented the 3-channel ink feed fountain pen in 1884? Question 4. In which year were rollerball pens first introduced by the Japanese firm Oto? In which year were rollerball pens first introduced by the Japanese firm Oto? They didn't seem to make it over here until an awful lot later. In which year were rollerball pens first introduced by the Japanese firm Oto? Question 5. Which is Germany's largest pencil manufacturer? Which is Germany's largest pencil manufacturer? Very interesting. Germany still has an enormous pencil making business. And the 2 principal manufacturers are both in the same town. I want to know which is the largest of all of them, not just the 2. Which is Germany's largest pencil manufacturer? Question 6. What is the usual fate of the blunt end of a pencil? What is the usual fate of the blunt end of a pencil? What is the usual fate of the blunt end of a pencil? Question 7. What sort of pens were used to write Magna Carta? What sort of pens were used to write Magna Carta? Interestingly, the same sort of pens were used to write the American Declaration of Independence. What sort of pens were used to write Magna Carta? Question 8. In which year was a felt-tipped pen first patented? In which year was a felt-tipped pen first patented? I hate felt-tip pens. They always dry out. Or if you lend them to people, they always lean too hard on them and ruin and splay the tip. So the only use for a felt-tip pen is sniffing. In which year was a felt-tipped pen first patented? Question 9. What is used in Eastern Asian calligraphy instead of a pen? What is used in Eastern Asian calligraphy instead of a pen? Got all those pictograms and things. What is used in Eastern Asian calligraphy instead of a pen? Question 10. Who traditionally filled the inkwells in a school classroom? Who traditionally filled the inkwells in a school classroom? By the time I got anywhere near a classroom that had inkwells, they were no longer in use. But we still had teachers who regretted that they were no longer in use. We had to use fountain pens instead and got punished for using biros. Who traditionally filled the inkwells in a school classroom? I'll go back over that. What is a standard grade of pencil? Which company produced the 61 Flighter Deluxe? Who patented the 3-channel ink feed fountain pen in 1884? In which year were rollerball pens first introduced by the Japanese firm Oto? Which is Germany's largest pencil manufacturer? What is the usual fate of the blunt end of a pencil? What sort of pens were used to write Magna Carta? In which year was a felt-tipped pen first patented? What is used in Eastern Asian calligraphy instead of a pen? And who traditionally filled the inkwells in a school classroom? Okay, on to something closer to the stomach, puddings. Question 1. What would you find on top of a queen of puddings? What would you find on top of a queen of puddings? Something I've never made, it's too complicated, and there are too many flavors. What would you find on top of a queen of puddings? Question 2, another pudding I don't like. What is the distinctive ingredient in tiramisu? What is the distinctive ingredient in tiramisu? Something I've never liked. I must have known tiramisu before, well, obviously before it got fashionable here. So that's got to be 40 years ago. More than 40 years ago, and I never liked it. But I want to know what the distinctive ingredient is. Question 3, and this is something I do like. What must a trifle contain? All sorts of things that trifles contain, but there is something that it must contain without which it wouldn't be a trifle. What must a trifle contain? Question 4. Apart from filo pastry, what are the principal ingredients of baklava? Apart from filo pastry, what are the principal ingredients of baklava? And there are 2 I'm after, and you can have a mark for each one. Apart from the filo pastry, what are the principal ingredients of baklava? Question 5. What is normally served with apple strudel in Central Europe? What is normally served with apple strudel in Central Europe? And if you go and have apple strudel in Vienna, and I suspect Salzburg, and I know Innsbruck, and you decide to have it with something else, you run the risk of causing offence. What is normally served with apple strudel in Central Europe? Question 6. What are the spots in a spotted dick? What are the spots in a spotted dick? Polite answers only, please. What are the spots in a spotted dick? Question 7. What is the nearest English pudding to a clootie dumpling? What is the nearest English pudding to a clootie dumpling? If you know anything about Scottish food, you'll have the answer to that. What is the nearest English pudding to a clootie dumpling? Question 8. What spice is traditionally put on top of a rice pudding before it is baked? What spice is traditionally put on top of a rice pudding before it is baked? My mother used to put knobs of butter on the top as well to make the skin rich. So I started off by saying what's traditionally put on the top of a rice pudding, and then I thought there'd be arguments over whether it was butter or whether it was this particular spice. So I'm after the spice. What spice is traditionally put on top of a rice pudding before it is baked? Question 9. Where was the sticky toffee pudding invented? Where was the sticky toffee pudding invented? A Johnny come lately of puddings. Where was the sticky toffee pudding invented? And question 10, in which year was the Pudding Club founded? In which year was the Pudding Club founded? One of the few clubs I've been tempted to join, but like all clubs, it would be full of people that ruin the experience by rabbiting on. In which year was the Pudding Club founded? I'll go back over those. What would you find on top of a queen of puddings? What is the distinctive ingredient in tiramisu? What must a trifle contain? Apart from filo pastry, what are the principal ingredients of baklava? What is normally served with apple strudel in Central Europe? What are the spots in a spotted dick? What is the nearest English pudding to a clootie dumpling? What spice is traditionally put on top of a rice pudding before it is baked? Where was the sticky toffee pudding invented? And in which year was the Pudding Club founded? So we'll move on to two relatively serious rounds. The first one is newspapers. Question 1. Why did broadsheet newspapers develop as broadsheets? Why did broadsheet newspapers develop as broadsheets? This is the answer to anybody who's had a broadsheet newspaper and had difficulty. If you're dyspraxic like me, it's a complete nightmare, had difficulty in managing the pages. Why did broadsheet newspapers develop as broadsheets? Question 2, what is the motto of the Daily Telegraph? What is the motto of the Daily Telegraph? You see this actually on the editorial page of every edition of the Daily Telegraph, but I do appreciate that some people will not have seen it, and it is not my favourite newspaper either. What is the motto of the Daily Telegraph? Question 3, who is the present editor of the Daily Mail? Who is the present editor of the Daily Mail? And what an improvement he is over the previous incumbent. Who is the present editor of the Daily Mail? Question 4. Which archbishop wrote an article for the first edition of the Sun on Sunday? Which archbishop wrote an article for the first edition of the Sun on Sunday? You may remember the scandal that put an end to the News of the World, and then about a year later the Sun on Sunday was brought in to replace it, and one of the archbishops wrote an article for it. Which one? Question 5. Which press entrepreneur took British newspapers out of Fleet Street? Which press entrepreneur took British newspapers out of Fleet Street? After a huge battle. Which press entrepreneur took British newspapers out of Fleet Street? Question 6. What daily English language morning newspaper is based in Cardiff? What daily English language morning newspaper is based in Cardiff? And a good newspaper it is too, with a very reasonable cryptic crossword. What daily English language morning newspaper is based in Cardiff? Question 7. In which city is the Yorkshire Post based? In which city is the Yorkshire Post based? Whenever I've got to read the Yorkshire Post, I've always been impressed by it. In which city is the Yorkshire Post based? Now here's one which will surprise you, and the answer will probably surprise you even more. Why did the Manchester Guardian oppose the creation of the National Health Service in 1948? Why did the Manchester Guardian, of all papers, oppose the creation of the National Health Service in 1948? Bring up some surprises. Why did the Manchester Guardian oppose the creation of the National Health Service in 1948? Question 9. Which regional newspaper carries a weekly column by the Vicar of Chesterfield? Which regional newspaper carries a weekly column by the Vicar of Chesterfield? If you can't guess that, if you didn't already know it, then there's no hope for you. Which regional newspaper carries a weekly column by the Vicar of Chesterfield? And question 10, what was the original title of the Times? What was the original title of the Times back in the 17th century? What was the original title of the Times? I'll go back over that. Why did broadsheet newspapers develop as broadsheets? What is the motto of the Daily Telegraph? Who is the present editor of the Daily Mail? Which archbishop wrote an article for the first edition of The Sun on Sunday? Which press entrepreneur took British newspapers out of Fleet Street? What daily English language morning newspaper is based in Cardiff? In which city is the Yorkshire Post based? Why did the Manchester Guardian oppose the creation of the National Health Service in 1948? Which regional newspaper carries a weekly column by the Vicar of Chesterfield? And what was the original title of the Times? Okay, we'll go on to round 9, which is the digestive system. And in some of the questions I wanted to ask on this, which I haven't asked, I made myself feel ill, so I hope these will not turn your stomach. Question 1. How many known bitter receptor cells are there on a human tongue? How many known bitter receptor cells are there on a human tongue? There are various limited spectrums of taste which the receptor cells can discern on a human tongue. Bitter is one of them. I want to know how many known bitter receptor cells are there on a human tongue. Not how many there are altogether, how many types. How many known bitter receptor cells are there on a human tongue? Question 2. What is the main type of acid in a human stomach? What is the main type of acid in a human stomach? This is all really O-level biology. What is the main type of acid in a human stomach? Question 3. Which acidic secretion of the liver assists in the digestion of fats? Which acidic secretion of the liver assists in the digestion of fats? A yellow-green substance. Which acidic secretion of the liver assists in the digestion of fats? Question 4. What is the common name for the duodenum? What is the common name for the duodenum? What is the common name for the duodenum? Question 5. Which organ neutralizes stomach acid and also produces digestive enzymes? Which organ neutralizes stomach acid and also produces digestive enzymes? Stomach acid has to be neutralized as soon as it leaves the stomach. Otherwise you end up with ulcers, and this organ needs to operate properly to do that. Which organ neutralizes stomach acid and also produces digestive enzymes? And question 6, since in these anatomical medical questions, I've had one the last few weeks about Vulcans, we've got another one. How many chambers does a Vulcan stomach have? How many chambers does a Vulcan stomach have? Bearing in mind that a Vulcan is vegetarian, some Trekkies think that Vulcans are vegan. There's no actual evidence of that, but certainly there's plenty of evidence that they're vegetarian and that their stomachs therefore have to be adapted to that diet. How many chambers does a Vulcan stomach have? And the next question also has to do with something which has a vegetable diet. How many chambers does a ruminant stomach have? How many chambers does a ruminant stomach have? A ruminant is an animal that chews the cud, such as cows and sheep and things like that. How many chambers does a ruminant stomach have? Question 8. What is the area between the lips, teeth, and cheeks known as? What is the area between the lips, teeth, and cheeks known as? Now, there is a main area of the mouth which is outside of the teeth, and the area around the teeth, inside the cheeks, and between the teeth and the lips has a name. What is it? Question 9. How long is the average transit from the mouth to the end of the duodenum? How long is the average transit from the mouth to the end of the duodenum? In other words, how long does it take your food to get from there to the end of the duodenum, where it is sent into the colon? How long is the average transit from the mouth to the end of the duodenum? And that effectively is the end of the digestive process carried out by the human body itself. And question 10 asks, what organisms assist in the further digestion of organic matter in the colon? In other words, you need some help in this one. What organisms assist in the further digestion of organic matter in the colon? Things that you can't digest yourself get left in the colon for something else to help to digest. What organisms assist in further digestion of organic matter in the colon? I'll go back over that. How many known bitter receptor cells are there on a human tongue? What is the main type of acid in a human stomach? Which acidic secretion of the liver assists in the digestion of fats? What is the common name for the duodenum? Which organ neutralizes stomach acid and also produces digestive enzymes? How many chambers does a Vulcan stomach have? How many chambers does a ruminant stomach have? What is the area between the lips, teeth and cheeks known as? How long is the average transit from the mouth to the end of the duodenum? And what organisms assist in further digestion of organic matter in the colon? And we're already on round 10, and we're looking at trivia, and we'll start with a question which you should know the answer to if you have been watching the news. Which member of the royal family is 99 years old today? Which member of the royal family is 99 years old today? Somebody we don't see very much these days, but there's a beautiful picture of that person was released for the press for this occasion. Which member of the royal family is 99 years old today? Question 2. How many new cars were manufactured in the UK in April of this year? How many new cars were manufactured in the UK in April of this year? I'll accept answers within 10% of the actual answer. How many new cars were manufactured in the UK in April of this year? Question 3. From which Southend station would you catch a train to Fenchurch Street? From which Southend station would you catch a train to Fenchurch Street? On what used to be called the London, Tilbury and Southend Railway. From which Southend station would you catch a train to Fenchurch Street? Question 4. What is a 65th wedding anniversary called? What is a 65th wedding anniversary called? You have quite a number of anniversaries. What is a 65th wedding anniversary called? Question 5. How fast does a 10-inch shellac record revolve? How fast does a 10-inch shellac record revolve? I don't know of anybody who's still got a collection of those. The trouble is shellac records smash. How fast does a 10-inch shellac record revolve? Question 6. What is the predicted National Lottery jackpot for this evening? What is the predicted National Lottery jackpot for this evening? Question 7. Who is the current MP for Maidenhead? Who is the current MP for Maidenhead? Question 8. In what year was Chesterfield Football Club founded? There are two answers to this. It was founded and then refounded, and I will accept either answer. In what year was Chesterfield Football Club founded? Question 9. In what year was St. Leonard's Mission Church at Spittal built? In what year was St. Leonard's Mission Church at Spittal built? And question 10. Which feast of the church's year occurs tomorrow? Which feast of the church's year occurs tomorrow? So I'll go back over those and then we'll have a short break and then do the answers. Which member of the royal family is 99 years old today? How many new cars were manufactured in the UK in April? From which Southend station would you catch a train to Fenchurch Street? What is a 65th wedding anniversary called? How fast does a 10-inch shellac record revolve? What is the predicted National Lottery jackpot for this evening? Who is the current MP for Maidenhead? In what year was Chesterfield Football Club founded? In what year was St Leonard's Mission Church at Spittal built? And which feast of the church's year occurs tomorrow? So we'll have another break. We'll come back at 8:45. If you've got any comments, if you any predictions as to how you've done, if you've got any queries, please either use the live chat or the email. I'm just going to get up and stretch. I'm not going to go away for very long. I'm just going to try and move my poor joints around. Dog is fast asleep. Louis is fast asleep with his legs all crossed. I'm not going to disturb him because he's been restless the last few days, and if I disturb him, he'll be a nuisance. What have we got here? No comments, no questions, no queries. Oh dear. They've probably all gone out for a comfort stop. So I wonder how people have done. Have you got any feedback? Not doing very well tonight. Gone to put supper on. Salmon tonight. No hope. Are you looking forward to opening up the church again sometime soon? No hope. Well, the church is actually going to open for a limited period each day to allow people to come in for individual private prayer. So from Monday, it'll be open from 10 to 12. People thought that was hard. The Barons, how many screens do you have in front of you? I've got 2 screens, but more windows. Father Ted is Helen's best round. So am I looking forward to it? Yes, I am looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to the fuss. But we've got a good team, and we'll get past it all. There's been a vast amount of paperwork and other stuff to do. Enough to make me think if I win the lottery jackpot tonight, I shall walk away. That's what it makes you feel like when you've been sitting and doing risk assessments and consultations and all sorts of stuff. How do you know you got a couple? Wait and see what the answers are. Right. I think we're moving on to 1:45. So I will get rid of the keyboard and get my pen out. No, I won't get a pen out, it's on here. Oh, Stephen's found it tricky tonight. Well, we'll see where we're going. Are you ready for the answers? Okay, the population of the borough of Chesterfield, let me have a look. I haven't got any matches at all, thank you for that. So I'll have to wait for the Euro Millions on Friday, which is 45 million. If I get that, you won't see me for dust. Okay, let's go. Question 1. The population of the borough of Chesterfield at the 2011 census was 103,788. And I will accept within 10,000 of that, so you've got quite a spread. The 3 towns to become cities in 2012 were Chelmsford, St Asaph and Perth in Scotland. If you got any of those, you can have a point for each. The capital city of Tasmania is Hobart. The Great Western engine, which exceeded 100 miles an hour first, was the city of Truro. Derry, Londonderry, has been a city since 1604. The City football team banned from the Champions League for 2 seasons starting next season is Manchester City. The largest city in China is Shanghai, not Beijing, as you would think. The capital of French-speaking Canada is Montreal. The City of London came before the City of Westminster. And Derby became a city in 1977 for the Silver Jubilee. The times that figure in the most famous Chinese curse, of course, are interesting times. It is Aaron's blessing that begins, "The Lord bless you and keep you." The man who cursed and spat at David is Shimei, son of Gera. The signs of the so-called Toronto blessing, believe it or not, this is supposed to have been a blessing from the Holy Spirit, is going on all fours and barking like a dog. Don't ask, that's what it was. The blessing in the 1662 communion service is followed by nothing in the service itself. When the Italians give the horn sign with the outer fingers, which curse are they warding off? It's the evil eye. When I went first to Italy in the mid-70s, they used to think that clergy could give them the evil eye, so very often you'd see people going like that. And there were quite a number of people around in Rome and the towns around who thought foreigners could give them the evil eye, so you'd see people doing that just to be on the safe side. The Princess Fiona was cursed to be an ogre at night. It is St. Blaise's Day, when throats are blessed. The Jewish faith has the canon of blessings that begin with the words, "Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe." And the post-punk group Curses is based in, surprise, surprise, Berlin. That's actually, you could have guessed that, something that was techno and post-punk had to come from Berlin. It couldn't come from anywhere else. Okay, we go on to fruit. Cox's orange pippin is an apple. Alcoholic drink made of pears is perry. The Wimbledon fruit with its pips on the outside is a strawberry. The fruit with a variety called sequoia, which I have in the fridge, is a cherry. The hairy fruit related to the nectarine is a peach. The basic strain for most cultivated bananas today was developed at Chatsworth. Motherhood and apple pie, that's the answer to that. Winberries and whortleberries are known in most of England as bilberries. The basic flavouring for amaretto is not, as some people think, almond, it is apricot kernels. And the fruit which is the base for Ribena is blackcurrant. So we'll move on to the absurdities of devolved government. The nation that runs a train from the north to the south and then back in the evening is Wales. The referendum was in 1997. The devolved nation with tax amending powers is Scotland. The devolved nation which doesn't have its own body of laws is Wales. It shares the body of laws of England. The devolved government that was suspended from 2017 to 2020 is Stormont, Northern Ireland. It was Winston Churchill who suggested in 1912 that English government should be carried out by regional parliaments when he was MP for Dundee. The local authority in England with greater devolved powers than any other is Greater London. The leader of the Yorkshire Party is called Bob Buxton. The devolved administration which has separate powers over vehicle licensing is Northern Ireland. England, Wales and Scotland have the same authority for vehicle licensing, and the formula for funding devolved administrations is called the Barnett formula. Okay, we've got past that, now we're on to the fun. So, who got 10 out of 10? Father Ted's surname is Crilly. He is based on Craggy Island. Mrs. Doyle's favourite activity is making and serving tea. Ted's forfeit for cheating in the All Priests Five-a-side over 75s indoor challenge football match is kicking Bishop Brennan up the arse. The Passion of St. Tibulus was a dirty film. The disease that caused Father Jack to be sent to St. Clabbett's Hospital for Elderly Priests was hairy hands syndrome, and he had a case which was 6 out of 10 in the hairy hands syndrome scale. Father Dougal's favourite activity is rollerblading. Father Jack's current favourite activity is drinking. The priest got lost in the lingerie department of the department store. And the English comic actor who made a guest appearance in the mainland was Richard Wilson. The episode starts with watching Richard Wilson in an episode of One Foot in the Grave. So we're halfway through with the answers. Yes, they got 10 out of 10. Good for you. Round 6 is pens and pencils. A standard grade pencil is an HB. The 61 Flighter Deluxe. Here it is. That's the fountain pen from it. Was produced by Parker. The 3-channel ink feed fountain pen in 1884 was patented by Lewis Edson Waterman. Waterman will do. Oh, we've got a number of people with 10 out of 10 for Father Ted. Rollerball pens were first introduced by the Japanese firm Oto in 1963. Although they only took off in the 80s. Germany's largest pencil manufacturer is Faber-Castell. The fate of the blunt end of the pencil, of course, is to get chewed. Quills were used to write Magna Carta. The felt tip pen was first patented in 1910. Eastern Asian calligraphy is usually done with a brush rather than a pen. And the inkwells in a school classroom were traditionally filled by the ink monitor. I wonder if we have some ink monitors here. Round 7 is puddings. On top of a queen of puddings, you would find meringue. The distinctive ingredient in tiramisu is strong coffee, espresso coffee preferably. A trifle must contain custard or a variation on custard such as blancmange. The principal ingredients of baklava, apart from filo pastry, are honey and nuts. Vanilla sauce is normally served with apple strudel in Central Europe. The spots in a spotted dick are usually currants. I will accept raisins. Sultanas, no, but properly currants. The nearest English pudding to a clouty dumpling is actually a spotted dick. A clouty dumpling is a variation on the suet pudding, which has fruit in it. The spice traditionally put on the top of a rice pudding is nutmeg. Sticky toffee pudding was invented in the Sharrow Bay Country House Hotel in the Lake District in the 1970s. Lake District will do. And the Pudding Club was founded in 1985. So that's round 7. I wonder who got 10 out of 10 on that. Newspapers. Why did broadsheet newspapers develop as broadsheets? It's because in 1712, the UK government, well, it wasn't UK at the time, the English government put a tax on newspapers by the page. So it paid the newspapers to make the pages as large as possible. That's why they started off as broadsheets and not on smaller pages. The motto of the Daily Telegraph is, was, is, and will be. The present editor of the Daily Mail is Geordie Gregg. The Archbishop who wrote an article for the first edition of The Sun on Sunday is Sentamu, the now retired Archbishop of York. The press entrepreneur who took British newspapers out of Fleet Street was Rupert Murdoch. The daily English language morning newspaper in Cardiff is the Western Mail. The Yorkshire Post is based in Leeds. Now, this is interesting. The Manchester Guardian opposed the creation of the National Health Service in 1948, largely because the editor hated Aneurin Bevan. And the reason it gave, which after the war, from a paper which is today known as Liberal, is really quite fascinating. It was thought that if you had universal health care, you would remove the selection element of sickness for the poorer and weaker classes. I kid you not. That's what was written in the Manchester Guardian as a counter to the creation of the National Health Service in 1948. But if you want to be cynical, it was really because the then editor hated Aneurin Bevan. So there's a surprise. The newspaper that carries a weekly column written by me is the Derbyshire Times, and the original title of the Times is the Daily Universal Register. Okay, to go on to the digestive system, there are 25 types of bitter receptor cells on the human tongue. There are 35 on a mouse tongue, and there are only 6 on a cat's tongue. The main type of acid in a human stomach is hydrochloric acid, in quite significant strength. The acidic secretion of the liver that assists in the digestion of fats is called bile. The common name for the duodenum is the small intestine. The organ that neutralizes stomach acid and produces digestive enzymes is the pancreas. A Vulcan stomach has got 2 chambers. A ruminant stomach has got 4 chambers. I was tempted to ask which one of them is used for making tripe, but then I didn't. The area between the lips, teeth, and cheeks is known as the vestibule, the way into the mouth. The average transit from the mouth to the end of the duodenum, in other words, to the formation of feces, is between 5 and 6 hours. And I'll accept anything around that. And the organisms that assist in further digestion of organic matter in the colon, once it gets out of the duodenum, are, of course, bacteria. It's very interesting that the organic matter in the feces can remain in the colon for 10 times as long as it takes to get that far, up to 60 hours. So that's the answer to that round. And then we've got round 10. Of course, it's Prince Philip who's 99 today. Only 197 new cars were manufactured in the UK in April. All volume car manufacture was stopped in April, and the only cars that were produced were bespoke and specialist cars. Going back to the question from last week, where there were actually 2 London termini, which you could get to Southend from, I've turned that question on its head. You catch a train to Fenchurch Street from Southend Central, or I will accept Southend East. although the proper station for Southend itself is Southend Central. 65th wedding anniversary is called a Blue Sapphire. The 10-inch shellac record revolved at 78 RPM. The predicted national lottery jackpot for this evening is £5 million, which I didn't win. The current MP for Maidenhead is Theresa May. The Chesterfield Football Club was founded in 1866 and refounded in 1919. St. Leonard's Mission Church was built in 1895. And the feast of the church's year, which occurs tomorrow, is Corpus Christi. So that's it. All the questions and all the answers. And I'll stick around for a little while to hear some feedback if you have any. Also to hear your scores. Any comments? I won't entertain requests for next week, because if next week is going to be number 10, then I think I have the right to have all my favourites next week. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, how have you done? $53. We had a few groups that had 10 out of 10 for Father Ted. I had to make 43, 60 this week, 45, 37, 58. And 60 is the highest so far. 52, 39, 51. That's your highest so far, isn't it, Helen? 85. I think you're winding us up. Either that or you've got somebody on Wikipedia. Does that mean was that meant to be 35 or 58? 61. Oh well. We got 50, more than you thought. 48. This is the highlight of our week. Oh dear. I'm going to be in trouble when I withdraw it. We'll have withdrawal symptoms. People ringing Samaritan saying I have withdrawal symptoms from the Crooked Spire weekly quiz. 58, enjoyable but frustrating. All right, already looking forward to next week. Well, no. Right. In a moment, I will sign off. $62, Gwen and Tony, well done. Good, see you next week. Okay, we'll see you next week. Have fun. Excellent. So the Chesterfield Halloms actually stormed the Peterborough Halloms. Okay, 47 in York. Well, I'm off. I'm going to turn this bloody screen off and hope that I don't dream about it tonight. And where are we? Great. Okay. Everybody have a great evening. Keep safe and keep well. And see you again next week, if not before. Bye.